Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about the upcoming support card banner, and this is the one that everybody's been waiting for, at least everyone that doesn't have MLB Kitasan Black, as it is going to finally be her rerun banner. And unlike her first one, where she only had a 0.5% pull rate, she now has a 0.75%, alongside an actual decent power card, El Condor Pasa SSR Power. Although if you already have MLB Kitasan Black, you're not going to pull in this banner just for that power card, but it is a good bonus to pull alongside her. This is going to be a longer video in terms of kind of covering the support card because I feel like she's so important regardless of your circumstances, unless you have her MLB. Do not pull on this banner if you have her MLB. But for everybody else, as long as you have a full pity's worth of pulls, you want to at least go up to that pity to guarantee one copy and make an attempt to try and MLB her. But even if you're at 0 limit break, you can only do 1 pity. She still is a very good banner to pull on because you will have the opportunity to MLB her in the future, especially when she's going to come roaring back. Because one of the things you're going to hear from me as well as other content creators is she does fall off and make a new track. Not fall off to the point that you can't use her, but if you are a whale or you have a lot of other speed cards that have higher race bonus than her, she can technically fall off for you, and then once we get into the 4th scenario, Grand Live, she'll be coming roaring back as a strong speed card. We're going to first go ahead and take a quick look at Kitasan Black, and then we'll kind of go over what we can expect with her going into the future and why she's so strong, because I want to really convince people of why you want to try and MLB her, and kind of what your plans might be going into the future on other support cards. We're not going to go into depth on all other support cards other than her power creep. Hopefully that will convince you as to why you should pull right here to MLB her, or at least get as close as you can, and then MLB her later when we get more selectors. And so let's just quick review of her. I think everybody kind of knows her. The biggest reason you want to MLB her is that special priority. You really want special priority on your speed cards because the speed one's the most important stat to hit. And even at 3 limit break, which is when she's usable, like if you get her to 3 limit break, you can at least use her. It's only at 40. If you have it at 2 limit break, not having that really weakens the card versus even some of the SRs that have special priority. And so, pretty good overall stat stick on that. Has the training effectiveness, has 5% race bonus. That is very important. It is very nice that she at least has 5% and it's not 0. 15% training effectiveness, good friendship, not the best, but a decent amount of friendship bonus, high special priority. And then overall, her hints are pretty good, bringing Professor of Curvature, and then she also has Corner Adept, so you can get kind of discounts there if you hit that. Same thing with Corner Recovery. You get that hint on that one that can discount your Swingy Maestro. Very, very nice overall in the hints, and a very good speed card. That is Kitasan Black in a nutshell. Pretty much all good hints, decent stat stick, good gold skill, and high special priority. And so going into the future, one thing is on Make a New Track, she will fall off because she's only 5% race bonus. You have cards like Biko Pegasus, Shinko Windy, another one if you've been playing since launch. I just want to reiterate this. If you've been playing since launch, the Special Week Speed card has 10% race bonus. You have a lot of these options for higher race bonus that you might want to use over her just because it'll give you some flexibility to make a new track, because your real target goal is 60% race bonus in Make a New Track. You can make it work from what I understand with 50%, but 60% is the main target, which with 6 cards means you want an average of 10% at least, which means you can still use her. If you get her MLB, she's still going to be usable, especially if you're free to play and you don't have very many other options anyway. You can use her alongside a free card we're actually going to get here in next month with the next event. It is going to be a 15% power card, Marvelous Sunday. Slot that right in there, and that 15% right there makes up for this 5%. And then you just need 10% from then on, and you'll be good to go. And with Kitasan Black, that pretty much opens you the ability to borrow what I would consider the second best speed card going into Make a New Track, which is going to be the Fuku speed card. Because the Fuku speed card, I'm going to tell people to skip that one and it be mostly your borrow. And the main reason being you want it MLB because it gives you a lot of initial stats. Those initial stats will be really good in Make a New Track for not losing and blowing all your clocks in the early races. We're not going to go into depth on that, but it does give you the flexibility by having her MLB to then borrow that one. She's a 10% race bonus. You have a 15% to offset this one. And then you'll have a ton of other options depending on the build you want to go with. You just take 10% cards, and then your race bonus will be 60 plus or 60% or higher, depending on what else you have. I can't go into depth on every potential deck yet. We'll do that when making new track drops. But just know, even though she's going to fall off, the only people really that don't need to use her are going to be people that wailed out for cards like Vico Pegasus, like myself. Free to plays, I think she's still going to be a great option in it, especially because Professor of Curvature is a good skill, and if you're not using her, you're not going to have easy access to it unless the Uma comes with it. And so that's kind of just taking a look at her statistic. Now let's talk about how long she's going to last into the future, because that's the one thing also I've heard people wondering is, when does she get power crept? And the one guide that I like to use is this one that I've found. And so this one was done by, it looks like Rezarb and Dura Fanboy here. And so they have a Discord and all that. I'll put a link to this in the description, but this is kind of their poll guide they've kind of made. It doesn't cover everything. I've seen there's some cards on here that look interesting for me to pull on in the future that aren't listed here. But this gives you a very good guide, especially on the big cards coming up. And so the blue's the speed. You have stamina, power, and guts, and then wit over here. And so Kitasan Black, as it says here, basically this left column, the bigger it is, just know the more important. So niche is going to be like the tiny ones, very good, but very specific. It's going to be like a little bit bigger ones. And then the just generic, always used type cards like Kitasan Black are going to be your big ones here. As you can see, speed universal Kitasan Black right here. Her power creep, where you'll pretty much want to fully replace her, is going to be El Condor Pasa speed here, which estimated based on the current timeline will be July 2027. And she will be paired with this card right here, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. We'll take a look at the banner here. And so it's going to be paired with a PAL card, which is going to be nice because then you're going to be able to dump a ton of pulls on it and not only get a bunch of copies of the very important PAL card, which is always going to be important for the scenario, but also the Kitasan Black replacement. But as you can see here, we just have Unity Cup that just started right now. If you MLB Kitasan Black on this banner, you're going to be able to continue to now use Kitasan Black all the way through Unity Cup. We have Make a New Track. Throne's technically the PAL card for it. It comes very late unless they decide to change it. Make a New Track, you can use her. Like I said, she gets power crept, but she is usable. You just kind of have to build your deck around it. And if you're a free-to-play, you're probably going to want to do that if you have MLB Kitasan Black. So she's good through that one. You have Grand Live. She'll be back into the meta at that point. Race bonus is not going to be as important anymore. And I mean, you still want race bonus. Race bonus is always important, but you don't have to try and shoot for very, very high. And so good there, good there. And then she gets replaced by El Condor Pasa here as the meta card. Doesn't mean she's done. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to dump her unless you MLB El Condor Pasa, and then you will probably retire her, unless you don't have any other options, and then I guess you could use both of them together. So you have, and so if I don't know how many champions meetings, I think it's going to be 5 or 6 per. So if you think about that, we have what, another 3 here, so 3. We'll just say it's 5, so that's another 15, so 18 champions meetings where you'll have it. Now, I do know we will be eventually adding in a new mode, League of Heroes. I don't know exactly which scenario that happens. That will split it in half, where it's every other event will be Champions Meeting, and then the other one will be League of Heroes. But you still have to build Umas for League of Heroes, so it's still going to have value for those. So she's going to get tons and tons of use. And even when El Condor Pasa drops, if you're a person that didn't MLB Kitasan Black back when she dropped, then you're definitely a person that may not MLB El Condor Pasa when she drops. And so Kitasan may still be in your deck for a little bit until you're able to get like another selector down the line to finally MLB her. And so if we actually take a look at it, you can kind of see the banner here that'll be coming up with it. Well, at least I had it up here. Yeah, El Condor Pasa Speed pairs with the new PAL card that'll come with the 2.5 anniversary here. And we're not going to go into deep details on the card. You can probably already tell just at a quick glance It's a way better stat stick. Skill point bonus, all stat bonus. She still has Professor of Curvature, but then she also brings another good gold leader between her. Also a bunch of good skills within here, just outright better. That's why she replaces it. But if you take her down, you only get 0 limit break or 1 limit break. You do lose some effectiveness on it. She may potentially still power creeper depending on your deck and all that. But you may still want to use Kitasan Black until you can get her up to, I think, at least 2 or 3 on the limit breaks here, where she'll get better. And so if you kind of consider that, you're going to have to wait another whole scenario for some selector ticket, another selector ticket to kind of help elevate this one, which then means you could still be using Kitasan Black at that point. And then Alcandra Pasa gets very power crept again by Almond Eye, which will be about a year and a half later. So she'll be another card that we're going to say everybody must pull, because she's going to last like a good 3 scenarios herself, and then Almond Eye up to this point has not been power crept outright. There are other strong speed cards, but she's the best generic still. And just to kind of add to that, you also can kind of use on this chart to see there's other cards that'll be coming out alongside El Condor Pasa that you may want to pull on. And so you're not going to be, it's not like you're going to be sitting on the 90,000 carats to like guarantee or near guarantee you MLB her. So don't fully expect it to happen at that point. And so we have Maru Zensky that'll be dropping as well next year. She's not a replacement for Kitasan Black. She's a front runner speed card that's very, very strong, but she's not a generic. You'll probably pair her a lot of times with Kitasan Black, but she's not a must MLB either. You only need like 1 limit break to get her full value mostly. So just know that's coming. And so hopefully that kind of helps convince you on Kitasan Black. She's going to be good. She's going to continue to be good. And if you're free to play, you're not going to be able to replace her immediately unless you're really, really lucky with El Condor Pasa. So that's just some kind of advice in there. Now let's take a look at the other one here. The one I've kind of ignored, and we're not going to have to go too far into her as well, because she's already existed. We already know about her. She's a decent power stat stick overall, has training effectiveness, has power bonus. So if you're on a lower race, especially medium, because her gold's killer tunes, she might be a power card for you if you've built like heavily around stamina sparks and now you're just using power cards to top up your power. So maybe you can pair this with like a rice shower so you can get Swinging Maestro off her and try and max your power alongside speed. Now, this is by no means a must-pull card in that aspect. It could be a borrow card, especially once you MLB Kitasan Black and you make yourself have a lot more flexible options. But it will be just a bonus, especially if you end up MLBing this along the way to getting MLB Kitasan Black. Because I do think this is an overall pretty good card. It does have 10% race bonus, so if you want to go with a powerish, high-powered deck in Make a New Track, that can happen. There are 2 other power cards, Nishino Flower Power, as well as the free Marvelous Sunday that we'll get that both have 15%. And depending on the deck or the track, could be a lot of value in that. But nothing here is screams must pull specifically unless you need Kitasan Black. So overall, pretty good card. Don't really need to talk about it too much at that point. So that is the upcoming banners. Now, let's look at what we do have coming up around. Let me go back here. Around it, because that's the other thing that I've seen a lot of people asking about is, oh, I have, like, if you have Limit Break 3 Kitasan Black, I'm going to use Limit Break 3 Kitasan Black as kind of an example here. You can kind of extrapolate that for your other situations like 2. And that is the fact, if you have Kitasan Black at Limit Break 3, you've been using her. So she's been useful. You're just missing out on some special priority. And you're like, I have a Major Odober. I have Christmas Ogre Cap. I might have Tamamo Cross if you really want her. Maybe you have Limit Break 2 Nice Nature and you really want to pull on this banner. You have a lot of stuff coming up that you kind of want to save carrots for. I think at Limit Break 3, she is, well, if you were at Limit Break 3 on the half anniversary and you were planning those polls, my advice then was, well, you might as well just use the selector and MLB her at that point so you can continue to save polls past this for these banners. But if you've already done, or maybe you've already done it and you put yourself in that situation where you don't have the selector anymore or the crystal, It's going to really be up to you depending on how you want to handle it. But we will, if you're willing to spend money, there will be a selector on the anniversary. And that's going to be probably your best opportunity to get one of these Umas, depending on which ones you might want. And that's if you're willing to spend. And so you really only need one of them. Nice Nature's nice. I feel like most people can skip. Machikane Fukukutaru is another very easy skip. And we will get free pulls on it, but it's going to be kind of bait. This is going to be the card that I'm going to advise most people to probably borrow during Make a New Track. As I mentioned earlier, you want an MLB so you can borrow it and then get all these initial stats. The initial stats will be very nice because in Make a New Track, you're going to be allowed to use your clocks on the optional races because every race is optional to make sure you can win it because you really want to win the races and Make a New Track for the most coins for the shop in it. We're not going to go into depth on it. And since you don't want to go blowing through all of your clocks because once you run out, you're going to have to start spending carrots, this is going to be a very good initial stat stick so you don't lose those early races. So very, very big card. And so most people, this isn't going to be worth it to MLB because it's not really going to be good outside of Make a New Track. So this will be your primary borrow card, in my opinion. So if you have Kitasan Black, there's your 2 speed cards. You borrow this, you use Kitasan Black, and then you use a 15% race bonus / 10% on the rest of them, and you're good to go there. So, yeah, I think with 3% or a 3 limit break, the option is yours. What you'll basically be waiting for is if you don't have it, or you might have the option of you're not going to use Kitasan Black and Make a New Track. That's an even better time to potentially skip this banner because if you're not even going to use Kitasan Black and Make a New Track, you'll have 2 more selectors that we'll get at that point. Make a New Track, first anniversary, we're going to get a selector. 1.5 anniversary, when Grand Live drops, we'll get another selector. And there'll be a paid one as well. And so you can always top it up there. And that is kind of the unique scenario where I can say you can skip it. If you're at Limit Break 2, I feel like pulling it is just worth it because you never know if you'll luck out. And you get one of the limit breaks early. And then you can immediately start using the card because you can use it at Limit Break 3. And then you can push it all the way to Pity and actually MLB it. Or if you're unlucky and you get all the way to the Pity without getting a single copy and you only take it up to Limit Break 3, well, you have the first anniversary when Make a New Track drops to MLB it with the selector. Or if you've held on to your anniversary selector, you can use it. So, plenty of opportunities. So for most people, go ahead and pull it. Try and get it MLB ASAP. You'll have other options with your selectors as well. And same thing with the Umas here. If you must have one of these Umas and you have to skip all of them because you dump everything on Kitasan Black, do know, and I've mentioned this on a previous video and kind of talking about the value of this banner, which this banner right here. I personally think it's a bad one because you pretty much have to go to Pity to get what you want. Because nothing is rate up, but everything can be selected at Pity. This will be your opportunity if you don't have the carrots, because do not pull if you cannot Pity. I've already seen enough people in chat telling me that they did 100 pulls and didn't get the Uma and basically threw away those 100 pulls. Just continue saving, and you should hopefully, after Kitasan Black, I believe you should hopefully or be close to having a full Pity by this point. And then you can just pull on this one to get that missing Uma that you had to skip, whether it's Major Odober or Christmas Ogre Cap. If not here, first anniversary, if you're willing to spend any money right around here, there'll be a paid selector you can get to outright buy any of the Umas that came out. I believe it's Christmas Ogre Cap and earlier. And so you have plenty of opportunities to get the missed Umas. Pull on Kitasan Black, skip those other banners, pull here if necessary, hopefully not, else just wait for the first anniversary and buy the selector and get them there. You're always, if you're a free to play, you're always, just know you're always going to be a little bit behind on having some of these Umas because a lot of good ones are going to be constantly coming and you're going to just have to skip some of them here and there. I mean, you have Mihono Bourbon Valentine, you have Kitasan Black, you have eventually Nishino Flower, Sayum Sky Ballroom. Like, they're just non-stop on Umas that have good alt inherits, and you're just going to have to skip some of them and then borrow and build them into your grandparents if necessary. So that's kind of my thoughts there on Kitasan Black and El Contrapasa. This is a little bit longer than normal on these videos, but I thought I'd just kind of stress it enough. Kitasan Black is going to be worth it. Do not skip. I think a lot of people learned their lesson, especially if you skipped Kitasan Black early, or learned their lesson even on why they may have wanted to re-roll on the Kitasan Black banner early. So I think most people will be pulling on it. So that's pretty much it for now. And if you like my content, if you like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.